everybody. Today we're here with my teammate, Robert Goss. He's getting ready to embark on an incredible adventure, which is to ride across America. And when I say ride, you know this is with a bike. So welcome, Robert.
Oh, good to be here, Aaron.
Thanks for coming out, man. I'm excited to learn about what you're doing, learn about your bike.
Yeah.
We get to learn about your journey and what you're doing. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah. Well, like most bike riders, I started riding as a kid, of course, right? So a little BMX, a little bit of racing as a kid. And then I got my first real bike as I was senior, I think it was a senior in college. And I got a Specialized rock hopper. And it's just been constant riding from that. That was a long time ago. And now it's a garage full of bikes. And there's always been a dream or a fascination with the big adventure of riding across the United States. But the ability or the time never really presented itself. But I retired 5 months ago, and I've got a buddy that's retired, and we ride well together, so we're going.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about this journey. I mean, I know you race road bikes, you do a little bit of mountain bike, you do some cyclocross, you kind of ride all these different disciplines.
I do, yeah.
And then I think you also told me that you have already done a big cross-country journey. You did, was it from Oregon to Southern California?
Yeah, that was my touring buddy is Bruce Klein, and for his 50th birthday celebration, we rode from the Oregon border to Mexico. It was 15 riding days and 1,100 miles. And we learned a lot in that initial tour. We learned that 84 miles a day average was a little bit too much.
85 miles a day.
That was our average, pretty close to that, 83
Wow.
or 84, something like that. And so we learned that we needed to slow it down a little bit because that put a lot of pressure on us, but we did it within the window that we had to work with. And subsequent to that, we did the Oregon coastline from Washington to California, and that one we camped instead of staying in motels. And we learned again that we liked the camping aspect of the touring more. You get to see more of the place that you're in. And the state parks on the Oregon coast are fantastic. I mean, beautiful. And then a couple years later, we did RAGBRAI in Iowa, which is not technically a tour, but it's a multi-day ride, and we rode across the state of Iowa. The RAGBRAI is the Register's annual Great Bike Ride across Iowa. And that was 650 miles, give or take. The week following RAGBRAI, our wives flew out to St. Louis, Missouri, and we ended really close to St. Louis. We met them in St. Louis. We had shipped their bikes out, and then the four of us rode the Katy Trail, which is the nation's, at least I think it's still the nation's longest rails to trail route. So we then rode 7 days back west in Missouri on the Katy Trail with our wives, and that one we did bed and breakfast each night. So
you got some experience with these long endurance, but this is going to be very different.
Yeah,
from
it's
anything.
different.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell us about this journey that you're doing. How long is it? Where are you starting?
The conversation started last fall as I was facing, my impending retirement date, and it started out as a joke, and then as these things go, they get serious. And the first conversation was doing it in the summer of 2019, and we were going to do the Northern Tier, and that's the Northern Tier is the name that the American Cycling Association has put on their route across the United States from Washington State, and it ends up somewhere in the northern end of the East Coast. Southern Tier is where we're going to go, but we first started talking about the Northern Tier because I was really, both of us are kind of mountain, we really like pine trees more than desert, I think, overall. And so we were really interested in Washington, Idaho, Montana, and then the forests of the East Coast. And then we decided, well, if we're going to go that far, we're going to ride all the way to Nova Scotia. Well, then we figured out that was like 4,500 miles. It would take us all summer long, and that was too long. We didn't want to commit an entire summer to this. But we didn't really want to ride across the United States.
And it's a great deal of climbing too, because you're going over
the Rockies.
The Rockies.
Yeah. And through some of the Cascades initially and things like that. So, but we've ridden up together. We know that we could do the climbing. That really wasn't the case. It was going to literally take us like 3 months to go that far.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to commit all summer to that. So then we started looking at other routes across the United States, landed on the Southern Tier. It's a little shorter, but we could start it in early spring. So literally a week from today. This is Friday the 15th.
So we're a week from
takeoff. We're a week from packing the van to drive to San Diego. Yeah. So we turned our sights to the Southern Tier, and the Southern Tier route from ACA goes from San Diego, California to St. Augustine, Florida. And so you do the deserts of southeast California, Arizona, New Mexico. Texas will take like 3 weeks to ride through Texas. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, the panhandle of Florida. Then we'll hit the Atlantic coast, and that'll be about 2,800 miles. And then we're going to turn south and ride down the coast to Key West and add another 600 or 700 miles.
So I'm sure weather is a factor.
Right.
It was a factor in your planning, especially going through the south and having to deal with like the humidity in some of the southern Gulf states, and then going over some mountains and everything. So,
well, right. So the idea of not committing all summer, start on the southern tier in early spring and do the deserts while they're green and they're cool. When we go through the deserts, we expect temperatures in the 70s and 80s. It could rain a little bit, but we're prepared for that. But we shouldn't hit a lot of humidity in Texas or the Gulf states. It really should be rather nice.
So overall, how long are you looking at this taking? I mean, what is your pacing strategy every day? You said you're changing up. You got to be somewhat conservative, and then you want to be able to meet in a certain time. So,
yeah.
What are you doing there?
Well, so that California ride taught us that we didn't have enough time to appreciate where we were, even in a state that we know pretty well. But we were in territory that was new to us along the coast. So we're going to go from this 85 miles today to our theme is kind of 100K a day. And it'll be plus or minus. There'll be some 50-mile days. There's a couple of 80-mile days. But 100K a day, 62, 65 miles is probably pretty typical for us.
So that's about 2 months?
So 55 riding days is the plan. That's the schedule. But weather, health, mechanicals, anything could affect that. But we've allowed a couple of contingency days, and I think right now it's a really sound plan. But we have a little bit of experience touring. I wouldn't say a lot. The one thing I do have to say is we're both married and. It's a big thing to leave your wife for 2 months, right? Yeah. So we've tried to, integrate them into the trip and have some fun with that. So they're going with us down to San Diego to kick us off, and then they are going to meet us at the halfway point, which is Austin, Texas, and Austin's a fun city.
That's a great place.
Yeah, we haven't been there before, so we're looking forward to the music and the scene in Austin, and we might be able to check out Mellow Johnny's bike shop, just for fun.
It's a cool place. I've been there. I used to live there. This is really cool because it's not just like if you have the race across America. I mean, these guys are just going and going and going, and you're not stopping. Yeah. And so this is really cool because it's an epic adventure in every sense of the word. Yeah. You're going about 50 to 60, 65 miles a day. So that's maybe about 6 hours on the bike, depending on how fast you're going.
We ride between 12 and 15 miles an hour.
Okay.
No, 12, 15 miles an hour. So 4 or 5 hours is probably a pretty average day on the bike.
And that's not too. That's actually not too bad.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And that gives you a chance to stop and take pictures and
exactly. Yeah.
Call home. I'm okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there'll be some of that. But after Austin, we're going to deviate from the southern tier route and ride down to New Orleans and ride through New Orleans and spend I think an extra day there, and then it'll be all Gulf Coast shoreline. For the second half of the ride. When we hit St. Augustine, just a day or two south of St. Augustine is Cape Canaveral, when we both want to stop there and take a tour in Cape Canaveral. I was a rocket kid when I was young. So, and then when we hit Key West, our wives are going to meet us there. And so this big adventure will conclude with our wives joining us in Key West for a beach vacation for the last 5-6 days of the trip. So
another question, like lodging, is it all camping? Are you have some hotel spots? I know because you said you're going to stop in Austin, some of these places when your wife comes here. I'm assuming you're probably going to get some hotel rooms and stuff.
Well, in those situations, absolutely. Our goal is to camp 2 nights out of 3 on average. That third night could be a motel. It could be warm showers. There's an organization and a website that hosts cross-country tourists, bike tours, and so we are integrated into that. So in the towns where that's an opportunity where we can get a real bed and a shower and a warm meal, the warm shower hosts are really awesome, and so they'll put up cross-country riders. You just call ahead, so they'll be in your town on a certain day and see whether they're available to host you, and if they are, you're in. So those will be nice breaks. Then you can do some laundry and restock with food.
So I know you're super excited to talk about the bike. I'm super excited to hear about the bike and like what your choices were and what you're riding. Talk to us about your bike, why you chose this, what you're riding, and how it all came together.
Sure. All the other bikes that I have are pretty racy bikes, whether it's mountain bikes or gravel, cyclocross, road bikes, race geometry. All three of them are carbon fiber. They're not really suited for cross-country touring. So I started my research. I've never owned a classic touring bike before, so I started my research. And steel is the typical choice, steel frame. Bruce rides a Soma steel frame bike. He's done probably 4 or 5 tours total on that frame. He loves that bike, it's super comfortable. He's going full panniers. I'm gonna show you my setup here in a little while, but I'm not doing panniers. I'm gonna do a different concept. But I went to titanium. So this edition of your blog is riding titanium, not riding carbon. So I did my research. I wanted titanium for a couple of different reasons, because it is a lifetime material. It doesn't rust, it doesn't fracture. I mean, you can break it, but with a decent amount of care, I should never have another touring bike. This frame should be fantastic.
And it absorbs a lot more of the road noise and the bumps than carbon does, if I remember.
I think it does.
Yeah.
Carbon is much better than aluminum. It's a different feel than steel. But I think this bike dampens more road chatter and vibration than my carbon frames. It's really a comfortable ride. So I found it on eBay. I did not want to pay full retail. I mean, nobody really does, but I found it on eBay, made my first eBay purchase, and got a pretty sizable discount over full retail on it. My strategy was, I had and a lot of riders do have a parts box at home, right? With all kinds of things they've taken off other bikes, and a lot of those parts are still pretty good. So I had that going for me. I had the wheels it was my backup set of cyclocross racing wheels, so stands, no tubes on that. I am going tubeless on this, which is not common for tours, but my gravel cyclocross bike, my mountain bike are tubeless. I'm really comfortable with it, so that's the setup on tires.
And I've got to say, I love, and we'll get some better shots of this, but I love this this brown gum wall that just kind of like subtly matches your whole Pro saddle.
Yeah.
So you got to tell us about that.
Yeah. So the stands, no tubes wheels, specialized sawtooth tires, 38. I worked with our shop, Folsom Bike, on about 90% of those other purchases. They were fantastic to work with. Provided a lot of advice for me, which I needed and I appreciated. Drivetrain, I'm running Praxis cranks. It's a 105 front derailleur, Ultegra rear derailleur. On it, I'm running 4832 on the front and 1134 in the back. So my lowest, hill climbing gear with all this weight is less than 1-to-1. I've been out training with what I think is a full load, and I shouldn't have any problem.
So like for people watching, so you understand, is that not only is he going to be climbing, but he's also carrying, you've got your packs and your luggage. He's going to have a back trailer, and we'll show you that in just a little bit. So he wants to make sure that he has plenty of gears to be able to spin and keep his legs fresh, especially if you get hit with crosswinds and headwinds and climbing over.
Yeah, it'll happen. If you're going to be gone that long, that's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. This is a little different back here, Aaron. This is actually the attachment point for the Burley Coho XC trailer that I'm running. So
sounds fancy.
So yeah, this is a little bit like a ball and hitch for a traditional towing package on the back of a pickup, but the ball's turned sideways and the mount mounts on it kind of like that, and it's very secure. And I've towed a trailer before. It was a Bob trailer, and it towed fine. I did the Oregon tour on the Bob, but I really didn't like the attachment points. I didn't have any problem with it on the trip. I just didn't like the design of it. So I went in search of a different product, and I found that, and I really like this kind of ball and hitch concept. Brakes are the disc brakes, cable actuated disc brakes, the TRP Spire, and for cable actuated disc brakes, they really have a nice progressive feel. I'm very impressed with that. So that works really well. Pedals, I forget the model name of these, but it's the Crank Brothers egg beater with a platform around it. I had them, but I also like this because you ride all day, you pull into camp, you set up camp, you maybe have to get to the laundry or grocery store, or want to go have dinner or a beer or something like that, but you don't want to put your your shoes back on with a stiff sole. I can ride these with flip-flops or sneakers or whatever. So it's an easy, nice platform to just jump on the bike.
Having a smaller, I can see it like having a smaller pedal, it puts a lot more pressure on your foot in a single place, and so this allows you just to have a little bit more comfortable, larger platform to be on.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I haven't really focused on that, but now that you say it, because I have about 500 miles on the bike now and some good 4+ hour rides, I haven't had that problem. So maybe that's part of it. So I think it's a good point. 105 shifters, and the whole 105 system is super solid. There, I did upgrade the rear derailleur to the Ultegra, just Garmin 1030, and I have to shout out to Aaron and Wilson at Folsom Bike again. They gave this to me as a retirement gift, and
Did they really?
It was.
Nice.
Well, I mean, what a gift. I mean, that was really nice. So
They're awesome. So following your journey,
yeah.
is there a way for us to follow your journey? Are you going to be checking in? You said there was a vlog that we can check out, and I'll put that in the description below. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, we did this actually. We did it on the California tour and the Oregon tour. Bruce loves to write, and I've dubbed him as the ride documentarian because he loves to write, take the pictures, and use the blog as a way just to let friends and family keep up with where we are and what we're doing, what we're seeing. So the riding blogs are kept on one of the sites is crazyguyonabike.com.
Okay, Robert, so I'm excited to see how it's all going to go together. You have panniers. Am I saying that correct?
Well, that's what Bruce is going to run. I'm going to run the trailer. So the panniers is the, with the rack and the on-bike luggage. I like the bike free of all that. So I do it a little differently.
Okay, so we're going to see how this all goes together. So here we go for the time lapse. Robert, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. To me, this is like super fascinating. It gets me like super excited, even though my wife would kill me if I tried to do this, but we'll see one of these days. But I'm super excited to see how it goes, and it was really fascinating to learn about your journey and where you're going, and all the attention to detail that you have of like all your choices.
Yeah, we're going to be gone for a while, and there will be times where we won't see a bike shop for days, so you have to think through all of that. It's definitely a bucket list item. It's been a dream for a long time, and honestly never thought that would happen, but it is. Here we are, 1 week away, and so a week from Monday, so Monday, February 25th, we're heading east from San Diego. So we'll do the traditional dip the tires in the Pacific Ocean, and then 2 months later we'll dip them in the Atlantic.
Well, best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, safe journey, safe travels. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed that, and we will be checking in with Robert as much as we can, and then when he comes back, hopefully we can do like a little coffee talk.
A little wrap up, yeah, that'd be good.
A little wrap up.
That'd be fun.
And talk all about your journeys and flat tires and everything else.
Yeah, I'll have a better tan by then too.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for checking in. Give me a like, subscribe. Talk to you later. Bye.